Got to get out from under heavy the head that wears the crown. How you doing, Mr. Bass? You alright? Huh? Seem a little quiet tonight. Yeah, alright. Well, we're about to get into this, alright? Hello, everybody out there. Hi, guys. Welcome back to the channel. Yeah, I can't believe I just said that either. Well, it's another installment of the very exciting show everyone's been clamoring for. Yes, of course, it's Guitars Around YouTube. Guitars Around YouTube. I know. I can't believe it either. It's been quite a while since I did one of these. The demand for the last one was it was unprecedented. I mean, it was almost as popular as my guitar lessons. You know, I've gotten like 2-3 views on those, so that's pretty good. So it's another exciting installment of Guitar Around YouTube. I got some notes around here. Gonna go through this in kind of a haphazard style, which is my way, you know. You ever look at your own notes and you have no idea what you meant? Oh, okay. Now I know what I was getting at here. Sorry, folks. That took me a minute. You know, one thing I just want to address real quickly. I want to talk about it. I know you guys want to talk about it. It's on everybody's mind. And, you know, young and old, we can come together, especially with music, you know. I mean, there's no reason that young and old can't get along and enjoy each other's company or music or, you know, everything like that. But one thing I've noticed about myself and about guys around my age is that when they're putting a pedal board together, they just figure, well, I'll go out in the garage or wherever and get a couple pieces of scrap wood and some duct tape and I'll put a pedal board together. You can say that's the best idea. You can say that's not the best idea. I'm just saying that that's the way they do it, or I do it. My present board is made out of some old shelving, some wood salvaged from a futon. Well, the futon was also utilized to be shelves. You can't throw good futon wood away. Come on. So, you know, but when you're younger, you just go out and get yourself a fiberglass or carbon fiber nanotechnology kind of heated, cooks your dinner, turns on your effects on and off for you, reroutes different paths, and you know, you get one of them fancy switching systems. And no, I'm just kidding. You go out and you get yourself a decent board made out of carbon fiber or maybe fiberglass. I forget exactly. And you get some Velcro or what have you, something like that. Some pedal tape, I guess they have actually. And you put yourself a pedal board together, and it's pretty presentable, and it works pretty well. Your pedals don't go off the board and across the floor and blow your solo or your gig or anything, you know. So that's pretty good. But so if anyone has anything to say, you might say it down in the comments, you know, that you're an older guy, you build your pedal board out of scrap, or you're a younger guy and you go out and you buy your pedal board, or maybe you built one out of scraps and you said, well, that didn't turn out too good. So you went out and you got yourself a real pedal board, as, you know, what might say these days, and put yourself a pedal board together. So speaking of such things, you know, I've also, you know, put down in the comments if you can remember, you know, what were the first pedal and or pedals that you ever got? The The first pedal I ever got was an MXR flanger. And to be honest, I had no idea what it did, which in hindsight is kind of silly, maybe dumb, I don't know. But it just looked really cool. It was the big blue one like Eddie used, although I didn't know that at the time, and it had the four knobs on it. And I had it for a long time, and come to find out after getting to know it very, very well, with the four knobs on there, that one had a lot of control. And really, you can make a pretty good argument that it was a chorus and a flanger and a phaser, or at least it could wander into those other territories besides flanger, you know. And so I got myself a flanger, and I took it home and I plugged it in, and so, oh, that's what that does. I recognize that kind of effect. Being a big Rush fan, I was like, oh, Rush has one of those, so this must be cool, And like I said, I didn't know Eddie would end up using. I think this was even a little bit before, or just about the time of Eddie. I was really pretty young, like I say. And a little bit before that, my brother came home with an MXR Distortion Plus. And he walked in the door. We shared a bedroom. We had all the guitar equipment set up in there. We called it the dungeon. And he walks in the door, and he's holding this miraculous sort of yellow colored box, rectangular shaped thing. Looked like, I don't know, maybe the thing from 20 Space Odyssey, 2001. He holds it out. I swear I heard that music, but there was angels singing also, when he held it out. He said, check this out, little brother. This is an MXR Distortion Plus. Well, I plugged it in, I tried it out, and, I decided I can never be without one of these again. I must have this always. So I had to go out and get me one of those, So in fairly short order, I got a MXR Distortion Plus. I ended up with a Vox Wah Wah, although I don't know how the heck I ended up with that. I ended up with a delay. Not sure how I ended up with that either, but I did. Had a wah wah, had the flanger, like I said, and got my first big piece of wood and bunch of duct tape, and duct taped it all down there, and that was pretty cool. You didn't have to take it all apart at the end of every gig or practice or what have you, So just like to know, whatever your memories are of your first pedal, do you remember what you got, and did you know what it did, and how long did you have to save your paper route money to get the thing, Cheers. Happy holidays, by the way. Happy holidays to everyone out there. As I'm taping this, it's in between Christmas and New Year's, so still good to say happy holidays. And you see you got my Christmas lights up. So let's see, went through that. Next up, going back to my personal memories again, when I was really young, I used to raid my brothers. I had several older brothers, and I'd raid their record collection. And I ended up listening to some Jimi Hendrix, some Led Zeppelin, some Black Sabbath, some Jethro Tull, all kinds of stuff like that, And that was really cool. I really dug it. And I was playing guitar at that time. I was pretty young. I started playing guitar pretty young. And I'm listening to this stuff, and I'm like, man, I have no idea how you make your guitar sound like that or how I would play it. And one day, it was an epiphany, and it was an epiphany like epiphanies are. It was an epiphany, and it took me a long time to really capitalize on what I got from this epiphany. But one day, I'm sitting downstairs where I was, had a finished basement at the house and a bedroom downstairs, and I'm down there playing my guitar one day, unamplified. Didn't have an amp for some reason. I might not have. I had this really piece of crap amp, actually, that I had before this time. And the thing was an absolute piece of garbage. And it was from when Gronk and Ankh were young, and maybe they built it. But boy, you couldn't get the decent sound out of this thing in no way, shape, or form. Not a decent clean, not a decent overdrive, not a decent distortion. I mean, it was really better to have no amp. I think I threw the thing away or something. So I didn't have an amp, and I'm sitting there on the bed, and somehow I'm listening to Led Zeppelin, and I'm figuring it out, figuring out Heartbreaker a little bit, and I'm playing along, following along pretty well, for a little kid. And then it comes up to that solo part, and I was like, man, how the heck does he do that? And I had this epiphany, and somehow I knew you just gotta freak right out. You just gotta freak out. So I got at my guitar like a freak, and I just went bananas. Like I'd never gone bananas before. I don't know where this came from, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, I see how you do that. And not that I could play the Heartbreaker solo, very well at that point, but I really learned something that day. But this is when I'm really, really young, really quite young yet. And one day, my friend's older brother who lived up the street, he comes up to me and he hands me a copy of Kiss Alive. And I look at the cover, I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't know, but man, it looks cool. These guys look cool. Man, they're out there, but they're cool, especially Ace. Especially Ace right off, And I don't know how many people notice, how much his original costume owes to Ziggy Stardust, but check out Ziggy Stardust and check out Ace's costume, and you'll see a similarity there. And that's absolutely okay. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just pointing it out a little bit, Bowie was very influential. Anywho, so I listened to Kiss Alive, and then I listened to it again, and then I listened to it again, and then, man, that's all I want to listen to. And I start playing along with it, And I didn't know about standard tuning, so I'd be tuning a little sharp or a little flat, and be playing along the record, and I'd go to jam with one of my friends somewhere, And every darn time it's like, well, you're playing that sort of right, but it's a fret or two this way or a fret or two up ways, And I didn't know what the heck was going on. And before that, I didn't even know that you were supposed to tune the guitar in a specific way, something called standard tuning. I made up a different guitar tuning every time I picked up the guitar when I was really little, really young. And that was kind of cool, actually. So anyway, I get into Kiss big time, and they're the first band that, they're my band. Forgive me, I didn't introduce my co-host and my other co-host. With me once again today is Baby Marshall. Baby Marshall, how are you? Yeah? All right, I'll tell him. Baby Marshall says a baby Marshall is still a Marshall. Mr. Bass, how you doing? Yeah? That's your standard, isn't it? Mr. Bass says he's low down. He's just low down today. And I'm your hostess with the mostest. I'm Christian Taylor at Christian Taylor 4027. And I talk for these two. What am I supposed to say? I was supposed to say something right there. I forgot. Anyway, we'll just continue on. It'll come back to me. So, boy, I wish I remember what I was supposed to. Anywho, so I'm listening to Kiss. I'm getting into Kiss. I'm playing Kiss, and this period goes on for a few years, And then, oh no, this is awful. There's a Kiss backlash. And, some of the Kiss fans have gotten a little older and they've moved on to other types of music or other bands and what have you, And, I've moved on to a lot of other bands by this time, but I still like Kiss, And I don't want to not be cool, So if it's not cool to like Kiss anymore, then, well, no, oh, geez, no, I don't like Kiss. But I never did not like Kiss. I always loved them, And getting to the point now, with Kiss doing the end of the road tour now, and they did the last show not too long ago. And it's really the end of an era for me, and I bet you a lot of people that really feel like that. I mean, I was never a fan in the same way as I was when I was a kid. You know what I mean? But I always dug them. I really did, and I didn't really get anyone saying that they couldn't really play. you know? And there was for a while, I didn't like Gene's bass playing, but it was just because of the sound of the bass that he had. And then when I listened to the whole thing in context, it was like, well, he really is actually pretty good. And Ace wasn't a technical genius or anything like that. I don't think he was trying to do that. He's had a lot of feel. And to me, he was like, he had a lot of Jimmy Page influence in him, which I sort of recognized right away. And of course, I love Jimmy Page, always did, still do, you know. And so that was cool with me. And can't believe, I'm definitely getting older, and Kiss has decided, it's about time that they pulled the show off the road. And now I hear that they're going to be doing something with avatars. I'm not sure exactly what that means. I had heard, I think it might have been Paul talking about how they might let other people come in and play the characters after Paul and Gene had retired. So I don't know if that means that Tommy and I forget the other cat's name right now. Cat, yep. But I don't know if they would continue. Perhaps, perhaps not. But Paul and Gene would be played by two other folks, and they would keep it going. And I guess a lot of people are hating this idea, but I just don't mind. You know, I just don't mind. Kiss is just that big. They were really just pulling on a lot of threads, mythological and psychological and musical, of course. And um, they created like a whole ethos, you might say. They were just so much larger than life. Um, if you want to let me know about your Kiss memories, or maybe you hate them, maybe you hate their guts, you can tell me that too. Maybe you think they're idiots, or money hungry, or whatever. Um, I can't really blame somebody for making money. We are a capitalist society. Um, but I really, really loved Kiss. I always loved Kiss. I always thought they were cool. That was the first concert I ever saw. I couldn't believe what they were able to do, you know. Um, just a little bit emotional about it, I gotta say. I gotta say. So, I was watching something also, backtracking for a minute. I was watching something, geez, I can't remember exactly what this was, man, I'm getting old. But someone was talking about the very first pedal boards. And apparently, some folks back in the 60s had someone or put their own pedal boards in the way that we think of them together, even though most folks didn't have that. I certainly didn't start off with that idea, and a lot of famous rockers didn't start off with that idea either. They just have a bunch of pedals at their feet that, it might stay put when they went to turn it on. It might keep going away from their foot and away from their foot and away from their foot and get all twisted up, and then tipped up on its edge, and oh boy, now nothing's going right. So you gotta come up with the idea of a pedal board. And I guess that started a lot earlier than you might think, and I might think. But it caught on certainly after a while. And it's funny, I talked about this before, I'm gonna talk about it again though. When I was younger and playing my guitar, doing some gigs and whatnot, and I I made my own pedal board, and that worked out pretty well, and that stayed where I wanted it to stay, and was a lot easier to hook up at the end of and beginning of each show and everything, you know. Um, but then things changed, and the way to go was rack mount stuff, and so okie dokie, pedals aren't cool anymore. You can get better sounds with rack mount stuff, and so okay, well, I ended up getting a rack mountable preamp that I still have. The what the heck is that thing? What the heck is it? It's the no, it'll come back to me in a moment. I can't remember anything, can I? It's the pressure. But I have rack mountable preamp. I had the MIDI and everything like that, and I also had I still have it, a MIDI Verb multi effects thing that still it has great sounding effects in it. The sounds were never bad, that's for sure. And the convenience of use and everything like that, and everything being in one package like that was really a great way to go. And I had 128 presets that you could set up any way that you wanted. And I had a MIDI controller with, it had like 12 banks and 8 or 10 presets you could put into each place. So a lot of flexibility this rig, and after I figured it out, it wasn't that hard to use. It was expandable, and I did that for the end of my gigging days, and then I became what we call, the bedroom guitarist. And I still played, I still practiced every day, I still wrote songs, I still recorded stuff. I had a lot of fun. Occasionally, I'd go and play a gig somewhere, very occasionally, or manage to have a jam with somebody, and that was cool. But mostly a bedroom guitarist, the way that we say. And I was just working on my thing, and I kind of had my head down, and I wasn't real current as far as what everybody was doing with their guitars. And I heard the music, but I didn't realize that fairly quickly at some point. Um, People, musicians, guitarists, other musicians, they moved on from rack mountable effects and started going with the stomp boxes again. But I didn't know this, and time went on, and some more time went on, and then I lifted my head up from what I was doing. And well, I'll tell this part of it really quickly because I've told this before. And I was laid up from having some surgery, and I couldn't do much of anything for a while, an extended period of time. So I thought, gonna start watching YouTube, find out what that's all about. And I wonder if that crazy dude I used to follow a little bit, that Buckethead, I wonder if he will be have some videos on YouTube. And lo and behold, holy moly, he's got 80 million videos on YouTube. So anyway, it starts like that, and I'm getting more and more into YouTube and engaging in what I call YouTubery. You can have that, you're welcome. And I start noticing that people aren't using rack mounted stuff anymore. Different pedals are back, and well, holy moly, I missed this whole period called the boutique period. Jeez, what was that all about? That sounds pretty precious. And you all probably know what boutique is. Almost handmade, not big amounts made of them, expensive. If you believe the hype, which the hype is true about a bunch of them, come to find out they sound fantastic. So anyway, after a while passes, and I just get this hankering that, oh man, I gotta have me some more stomp boxes. And I missed an important point. That hankering came just after I sold all my old stomp boxes. I didn't want them anymore, I didn't think, and I was just amazed somebody would give me a couple of bucks for these old things. And it didn't really hit me that, they're really back in style, back in vogue, until after I had sold mine. And then it was a little while after that, not too long, that, oh my gosh, I gotta have some pedals again. And another thing is, my rack mounted stuff had started getting really finicky or really touchy. It uh, wasn't roadworthy, that's for sure, and it was starting to demand a lot of TLC and the occasional repair. And so I thought, well, I guess I got to get me some pedals. Well, I got me one pedal and two pedals, and I guess you got to start with maybe a phaser and a delay and some sort of an overdrive. I guess the first one I got was this cheap, inexpensive, not cheap, this inexpensive thing called a Hot Plexi. And for what it is and for the money, it really not bad. Um, Especially if you push it with, I have good luck pushing it with a compressor pedal. I try and push it with another distortion or overdrive, and just gets really, really, really noisy and not good at all. But anyway, so I got a few of them, and then I found out that, oh, man, these days you use different overdrives for different sounds that you want to get. And since I can't have 97 amps in my room, all right, well, I'll get me some more overdrives. And well, now I have 6 of them, which some people think is a little excessive, but, I don't think so. And I don't even think, maybe you're a collector, and you have 120 overdrives, and that's okay with me, you know? But yeah, I had to have me 6 to cover different overdrive things. And well, I had to have a new amp too because my amp was getting pretty finicky by this time too. Not to mention my rack mount stuff was getting real finicky, and so got me an amp, and got me another little amp, and now I'm the champion and the king of small amps. They're so cute, you know. And when you get to turn them up, they sound really good, because you crank the hell out of them, and it's not like sitting in a room with a 100-watt Marshall or something and being deaf in 15 minutes. With these, it takes you a half hour to go deaf or something like that, before you go, oh, wait, we got to take a break. I can't hear a thing anymore. um, a funny thing that you don't know what you don't know until you know it, and I really didn't know. It took me a long time to get any decent amps at all, and I just didn't know what you could really do with a Marshall, I didn't know. I mean, they sounded great when other people played them, and stars played them, but I just didn't know. And it wasn't until, a few years ago, a friend of mine, he's got a lot of equipment, and he had a small Marshall combo, but it was a pretty decent unit. It wasn't crappy like some of the new things, but it was pretty cool, very low wattage, and he loaned it to me for a while, and I took it home, I turned it all the way up, and I plugged in, and oh, holy moly, that's what that's all about. Wow. Well, that's very cool, It was still pretty loud though, but it was glorious. So, I didn't know what different Marshalls sounded like and what you could do with different ones and what kind you might want if you did want a Marshall. And, I'm always saying I want a Marshall, but I don't know what I would do with it besides look at it, because the neighbors would call the police on me in 5 minutes, and that would be that. But, and I also thought a Marshall can't do clean. But a Marshall can do clean, but that was news to me. I didn't know. By the same token, I didn't know Fender could do overdrive and distortion very well, And I was watching that pedal show, and Mick Taylor, I'm a Taylor, had plugged into a deluxe reverb and turned it up to about 8. And man, oh man, that sounded fantastic. And I didn't know. I didn't know deluxe reverb. I thought, well, that's, it's got that Fender clean, isn't that what everybody says? But yeah, I guess it's louder than hell. But you turn it up to about 8, and it's like, oh man, that's glorious. Oh, angels start singing, that's nice. So So you don't know what you don't know until you know that you don't know it, or something like that, you know. Once in a while, I get around to taking some, not lessons per se, you know, but I just try to avail myself, if I can, if I'm using that right, to different learned people to try and you know, to get better, to keep up in my game, to stay interested and all like that, you know. And I wish I remembered the guy's name. I'm sorry that I don't. Oh, my preamp is the ADA. It's the MP1 ADA, and I got ART. My rack mount effect thing is an ART MIDI verb. That's who makes that. And whew, those brain cells just came back, so that's good. They're online again. A fella who's with, he calls his channel, I guess it is Signals Music Studio. And boy, you know, if you're at all interested in music theory, or if you know some and you'd like to learn some more and you're not sure, you know, what you should be learning and you just want to dive into it again, his lessons are really, really friendly. They're not over your head, they're not under your feet, they're not. He's got a lot of them and covers a lot of different stuff very well. And I thoroughly enjoyed them. And I kind of don't like lessons sometimes, you know. Some I like better than others. It depends, you know. But speaking of such things, you know, if you've been playing guitar for a while, maybe you're getting around to being intermediate, or maybe you're still at the beginner stage. Um, in my opinion, you should really get to know some music theory. Get to know chord construction, get to know intervals, get to know the Nashville number system, and it'll help you a lot. It'll help you a lot through your musical journey. Um, Also, you know, I watch Elmo Karjanainen, his gear reviews and some of his lessons and stuff, and I don't know if you've ever checked him out, but man, I love to listen to him wail. It's fantastic, especially when he wails on cheap equipment. I almost like that the best, you know. And if you do check him out, if you're like me, the best part, most enjoyable part is probably when he says about an amp, well, let's see what it thinks about some overdrive. And then he usually fires it up pretty good. And that's pretty cool, you know. Um, I'm sure you all know of Josh Scott and JSS, that channel, you know. By this time, you've probably heard of the Nauticlon, and I'm not going to say too much about that except genius. Yep, genius. That's what that was. Um, I recently found out about Andy Timmons. I don't know how Andy Timmons flew under my radar for all these years, but he did. I heard the name. I never really heard him play, and only fairly recently did I hear him play. And oh my goodness, oh my goodness, you know, he's better than my wife, and my wife plays like God, you know. But man, yeah, he's really great, really tasty, really great tone, great player. If you're into good guitar playing music, like hard rock stuff, it's almost fusiony, or you know, his style fits into a lot of different musical pockets, and he's really, really good. You know, really stands out. And apparently, he's sort of a mentor to this fella Andy Wood, who I'd heard his name recently, had no idea who he was or anything, and recently I saw and heard him playing, and I seriously considered that, okay, I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to be that good. I didn't even know that was possible, you know? And it wasn't just, you know, the physical dexterity and the skill like that, but very, very, very musical dude, getting very, very cool tones out of his guitars. And, you know, he's playing everything from heavy metal, bluegrass to Martian religious music, and making it all sound great and making it look easy, you know. So you might want to check him out. And scratching him off the Guitars Around YouTube list here. We're making my way through now that I'm not rambling so much. And, still thinking about Eddie Van Halen. And it's funny, when I saw Andy Wood, he said Eddie Van Halen was the best rock guitar player that there ever was. A lot of people feel like that. I certainly understand it, and it's such a story, and it goes on for a long time. And, when I see young Eddie, very, very inspired. And then there was a period when he was not taking very good care of himself and doing very well, and that was very scary, And then he got inspired and got his act back together again and everything, And I watched some of those films and videos from a couple of years ago when he was doing good again, and man, he was looking happy and healthy. It was just great to see him like that again, It was great. And what really got me thinking about this specifically lately, I was at work one day, and I'll neglect to. You do want to hear about my work, I'm sure. So, but I'm at work, and my fellow worker is playing some music across the warehouse floor, so to speak, and I hear. All right, I recognize it right away that this is Eddie Van Halen, but it felt like, or sounded like someone had taken the super bestest Van Halen licks of all time and then put them together in the coolest way that could ever be imagined and pulled it off with an amazing tone. I was like, man, what the heck is that, Anyway, he told me what it was, It was Van Halen playing in Tokyo at the Tokyo Dome. And it was Eddie's solo that was playing that freaked me out. I mean, it almost knocked me down, man. It's just unbelievable. So then it's okay. Well, that's what that is. I got to check it out, And it was one of them things where I don't know if you've ever had the experience where you hear music like in another room or off in the distance or something, and it just sounds like something other than what it is. You know what I mean? And so anyway, when I listened to this up close, it sounded fantastic. It sounded great. It was great to listen to, but something, the planets aligned or something. The musical gods decided that Chris needs to have a moment or something. I'm not sure. But I just couldn't believe what I was hearing that day. And yeah, so that's Eddie. He goes from inspiring us to scaring us back to inspiring us. Yep. We miss him. Let's see, what else do I got in here to ramble about? Let's see, pedal boards then. No, we already checked that out, So please, if you can, if you hear this, you have any pedal board builds you want to tell me about, or pedal board nightmares, or if you want to weigh in on and vote for Team Old Guy that builds their own out of scrap. Or if you want to weigh in for Team Younger Guy that buys their own and has some sense and keeps them in place with some Velcro or Velcro tape, pedal tape, just go ahead and tell me what you think about that. And, backing up, turning the conversation around on itself for just a moment here. I was talking about when there was a backlash, sort of, or just a falling out of favor or lack of a trend, when I don't know exactly how and why and when this happened, that the rack mounted gear was not being sold and not being used anymore, and there were no new designs coming out because nobody wanted it. I don't know exactly when that happened. But I wonder if we maybe reached a saturation point with pedals and the pedal market and types of pedals and what can be done with these fairly simple circuits at this time, and if there might be, something else waiting around the corner to mangle, strangle, and otherwise massage our guitar tones, there may be there might not be. I really don't know. I know the current uh, time of pedals being in vogue, if you will. It's been going on for some time now, a number of years, and usually as these trends go, it seems like it might almost be time for something to be around the corner and coming on. And really, I have no idea what that might be, you know, uh, or if that's the case. But there is usually a shelf life for these crazes, And if anybody has any ideas about that, what might be the next thing? Maybe the next thing is just going back to I got an amp, I got a guitar, I plug it in, I turn it up to 11, I jump up and down, I have fun. Sounds great. Or maybe there's some new technology or just ways of approaching the technology that we have already. Maybe a crazy mix of some rack mount stuff and some pedal stuff. I mean, that's what I got right now. And boy, oh boy, if I don't have all the sounds I need with all this, maybe I just want too much because I got a lot of different sounds I can get to. And that's good. I like a lot of different sounds, But just wonder what you might think or feel about that. Moving right along here. And being as this is called Guitars Around YouTube, I'm going to talk some more about guitars around YouTube and some fine YouTubery I've been engaging in. Already talked to you about Elmo J. Karnalainen, also known as this guy. You might want to check him out. Like I said, he's a great guitar player. He's a funny dude. Seems like a nice feller also. We wish him the best, of course. I don't know if you've ever checked out Dagan on PMTV UK, but he's about 9 feet tall. He wears his guitar around his knees. He plays pretty cool. He's a good player. Often has a lot of good knowledge to drop as far as playing and equipment and what stuff you might want to be going for different sounds or different styles or what you might want to do if you're an intermediate player, if you're a beginning player, if you're a very experienced player, what your next thing might be. Just I watch it. It's entertaining. I check it out. End up laughing. I end up learning a bunch of stuff about guitars and equipment that I'm totally into, So you might want to check out PMTV UK with Dagan. There are other guys there, and they're cool. They're cool, but they're not Dagan. And maybe I'll check them out some more too, but we'll see. Also been checking out, of course, Ryan, 60 Cycle Hum. Very, very popular channel. I gotta say it again. Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. I can't believe I just said that. These are all things that I subscribe to. That's what I'm trying to get at. I just realized that. So aren't things I check out a lot of things, man. I'm on there checking out gear reviews. It's a hobby. And whenever you have some time where break at work, or sometimes when your work is you're able to, and I put some of these things on, like Elmo or Dagan for PMTV or Ryan 60 Cycle Hum. Ryan's got a really dry sense of humor. You might catch on to it though. Find it really funny. There's a fellow that I know. He's an ambient musician, and I'm gonna try and pronounce his name correctly. I'm going for Denko de Zagreb. He's an ambient musician, like I said, and his channel is called Art Music Life, I believe. And if you need to have an antidote or just like to get into all kinds of different music like I do, you might want to check out some of this. It's totally different than heavy guitar stuff, you know. But it's totally cool in a different kind of way. So you might want to check out Denko Dizagrab's channel. Sorry for mangling your name, buddy. Um, Art, music, life. He's also a visual artist too. So all of his music comes with really cool visuals with it too. He's also a painter and I imagine a graphic artist, if I understand what that is. So there's a lot of visuals that go along with his music. Very, very cool. Very different than anything else that I listen to. So that's cool. You guys probably know RJ Ronquillo. Great player. Does a lot of great reviews. Uh, he's a funny guy. I remember watching his program one day, his show with his channel. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. And he was talking about everybody doing the thing where you try and bend the guitar neck very subtly. And I don't mean when you're grabbing, you go, you get a little whammy bar effect, but just just a little tiny bit of movement there by rocking the guitar and neck back and forth, you know. And he was talking about how we really didn't get that, and he was very upfront about it, saying, you know, I don't know what the heck they're doing, and I'm not doing it. So you might want to check him out, RJ Ronquillo. Um, Pretty cool gear reviews. It, I'm just addicted to those things, you know. Even when I don't need any or want any new gear, I watch gear reviews now just to see what's going on, what's out there, you know. If there's anything new, waiting for that next thing, you know. It's when the rack mounted, we're going to have rack mounted pedals. So that's going to be next. And we're all going to do visuals. We've got to learn how to do that. Well, anyway, also Dave Brewster's Late Night Lessons, you know. Uh, Dave's very good guitar player. He's a good guitar teacher. Um, I I don't know how many episodes of his channel, his lessons that I've watched, but a whole bunch, a whole lot, and it's always interesting. It's always informative. It's always presented in a way that isn't too hard to understand. He's never ever trying to be over your head just to be over your head, you know, and it takes a lot of examples from really cool music that I like, he likes, you'll probably like. It might be new to you, or it might be some old favorites, you know, and covers a lot of ground too. Very different styles, um, and that's cool, you know. It helps you get to be better, and rather than just sticking to playing Popeye the Sailor music or whatever, you know. So Dave Brewster, Late Night Lessons, you might want to check him out. Um, There's also 5 Watt World. I like 5 Watt World. Keith seems like a real nice fellow. I kind of hang out with him a lot, watching gear reviews and a lot of short histories. His stuff isn't really gear reviews for the most part. Occasionally, it kind of wanders into that territory, but has a lot of these things, little documentaries, really, that he calls a short history. He came up with a short history of the Marshall, short history of Hiwa, short history of this one or that one's guitars, you know, and really gets into it. Even if you think you know, you might know, I think you know someone's guitar history, like Eric Johnson, for instance, you know. Okay, we know him playing a Strat, but he's used a lot of other guitars throughout his career also. And if you're at all interested in stuff like that, there's a lot of good stuff on 5 Watt World. That's the name of his channel, Keith Williams on 5 Watt World. Um, if you get into sort of that documentary kind of style like I do, you might want to check him out. Um, here's one that I wrote down that I can't remember a darn thing about. So we're just gonna jump over that. I'm sorry, whoever this is. Um, and of course, you've all watched that pedal show, and I watch that fairly often too. I go through kind of fits and spurts. I'll watch it a whole lot, and then I won't watch it, and then I'll get I'll watch it a whole lot again and watch 18 episodes in a row, And those two guys, Mick and Dan, they're funny. They're both very good guitar players. They're both better than me. I hate to say that, but they're both better than me. And they're very tasty, Uh, there's no wanking at all with their playing. They're very good, and they know a lot about gear. If you if you need some advice about how to get this or that sound, or how did someone get this classic sound, or what does this classic sound consist of, or a lot of that stuff. I'm still learning. I know a whole lot more than I did. You know, um, when you start out and you don't know. I mean, I remember thinking, I listened to Rush and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, when I was really young. And I really, really dug it. And, I'd listen to their guitars, and then I'd plug my guitar in. And I had an electric guitar, but I was plugging into this solid state Ampeg amp that, it had no overdrive whatsoever. To me, anyway. I could turn it up, it'd be pretty loud, but it sounded like Steve Miller. And like I said, I wanted Rush and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that. And Kiss, you wanted the best, you got the best, etc., etc. So, and I had no idea. How the heck do you get a guitar to sound like that? I had no idea. No idea. And there was no one for me to ask. Things were very different then, And even, I didn't know about getting a pretty decent amp, whatever your definition of that is, and turning it up to the overdrives, I didn't really know about that, and I couldn't afford a decent amp anyway. So then, all right, well, my brother brought home that Distortion Plus, oh, and that was a big breakthrough, But even with that, it just sounded too harsh. I didn't know really how to set it up, and didn't know what the heck to do to get that sound that I wanted. And then, little by little by little, I'm 500 years old now. And, you learn, I know a lot more than I did when I was 250 years old, but I still don't know, some things, I'll learn something with this stuff, probably once a week, about gear or guitar maintenance or how to use the gear, or guitar playing in general, once a week probably I'll learn something, and I'm like, man, why didn't somebody tell me that the first week I was playing guitar? That would have helped a whole lot, would have helped a whole lot. So check out that pedal show with Dan and Mick and Dan. Boy, this guy's got some nice guitars. I got some nice guitars too. They got more and they're nicer, but in any event, And now, here's another thing that I'm thinking about. You're thinking about it. You might not know that you're thinking about it, but in the back of your head, you're thinking about it, and you're wondering, and you're thinking, I wonder if Chris has noticed this trend that people often have their pedals set up in such a way now that they don't switch them with their feet anymore. They switch them with their hands. They maybe have them elevated on a table or something like that, or they happen to be somewhat lanky like me, and they can just reach down to the floor and hit things, in between power chords and change the pedals as necessary. And if that's the case, if that is true fact right there, aren't they in fact handles now and not pedals? Yep, we may all be using guitar handles. So I want you to think a little bit about that. This has been Guitars Around YouTube. I think I rambled quite enough. I think scratched everything off my sheet here that I could remember. If you're one of the 3 people that is listening to this at any time, thanks a lot for checking this out. Leave something below in the comments. And one more time, I'm going to reverse it. And now I got to say, goodbye, guys. Get off my channel.